Welcome back to Radio Chatskill. I'm Tim Bruno. Comics and music history will be made in upstate New York with the first ever live performance of an original rock opera in a comic book shop in Kingston today. Or so we think. Cragsmore, New York resident Ezra Gale and a rotating cast of guest musicians are presenting a live performance of songs from Box of Tapes, a rock opera. It's a 16-song album and graphic novel. And we're going to hear a little bit of it right now. This is a cut called Climb.
Another day, another tale of lives gone by in a blink. I know it was much brighter then. I know it was much brighter then, so I've heard.
Ezra Gale is joining us now. Good morning, Ezra. How are you?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so tell us more about this rock opera and this whole comic book situation. How did this all come about?
Yeah, so a few years ago, I did my last album, which was a collection of songs. I recorded The Ear Goggle, and I put out an album that I found a whole bunch of comic artists all over the world and just decided to sort of illustrate the song. And so it came with a comic book. I've always been sort of fascinated by the combination of music and visual art, just kind of how do you do that? Maybe since I was little and I had a Sesame Street record player and they came with those records that had the books with the little chime, which is like, turn the page now.
Yeah.
It's that idea. There's no chime telling you to turn the page, but it's sort of like you play the music and you follow along with the story. And so I just thought, what would happen if we did that as a comic? And it was so cool. I liked it so much, I just decided to go bigger this time and create a connected story, because that one was just a regular album with different songs. And so the comic was more of like an anthology with little vignettes, But so this one's an actual through story that goes from start to finish with the same characters and the same artist drawing the book. And, so the graphic novel is all the lyrics from the songs, but illustrated as a comic. So we're just kind of trying to experiment telling the story in two different ways.
Multimedia. Tell us about
Multimedia.
this. Yeah, tell us about the story in Box of Tapes, the rock opera.
Yeah, it's about a kid, a teenager who lives with his dad because his mom has disappeared. He gets in a fight with his dad, and he runs up to the attic and discovers this box of cassette tapes, and so he starts playing them and discovering that they're songs by his mom and dad from years ago, and he starts putting together what happened to her and why she disappeared, which was that turns out she was a radical militant Luddite and anti-technology activist, hence the cassette tapes, and she died blowing up a power plant. So that's the story on the surface. It's sort of also kind of about death and grief. It's kind of me processing the loss of some people years ago. One was my father-in-law, passed away, and another couple of friends had died, and I just started sort of thinking about how weird death is. It's just like somebody's here in your life, a big part of it, and then all of a sudden they're just gone. And not to be too dark about it, but it's just sort of universal. We all go through that, and I started thinking about ways to kind of explore those emotions through a story that would actually be kind of entertaining. And so this is what emerged.
And you're saying it's not just music or comics. You're calling it a fully immersive journey. Tell us a little bit about this immersive journey.
Well, I just think we're kind of trying to make it so that you can do it either way. Of course, you can. I hope the music works if you just put it on and listen to it. And I hope the graphic novel works if you just look at it and read it as a comic. But I think the way that it really could be kind of different is if you really experience these songs while you're looking at the art and kind of following along with the story. Because I think each of these art forms have the potential to kind of get us to imagine these worlds. When you read a comic, it's not moving images, it's still, so you sort of fill in the blanks of what it sounds like and what happens between the panels, how the story progresses. And music for me anyway has always been like, I've always had, these images that come to mind from my favorite music, my favorite songs, or just kind of these worlds that they conjure. So we're kind of trying to sort of give people the chance to experience that in their own way by combining these two things.
And you're also giving folks a chance to experience it live, in person, and at an unusual location, a live performance at World's End Comics, located in Kingston's historic Stockade District. Why a live performance at a comic book shop? I guess because of the graphic novel connection.
Yeah.
And then also we've been saying we think this is a first. This could be historic.
I should say that we haven't been, independently fact-checked on that
right.
claim.
Yes.
We're calling it the first ever rock opera performance in a comic book shop. Until somebody points out that there's been another one, we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I know this shop from being in Kingston. The owners are super cool, and they heard I kind of presented this idea to them, and they just loved it. And we're going to live stream it on my Instagram and on a YouTube channel, and for people who can't be there. But we're basically going to be set up in the back. They have a gaming room in the back where they play the D&D games and the chess club and watch the sci-fi DVDs and stuff. And so we're going to cram in there, and we're going to play 5 or 6 songs from the actual rock opera.
And that's today. That's today, band. Right?
That's today. It's at 6:30 p.m. Yeah.
And folks can get information where if they can't make it to the shop?
Yeah, well, so you could follow along on my Instagram, which is @eargoggle, or there's a YouTube channel called the Madness Comics Network that's also going to have the live stream from it. And then also folks can go to it's up on Kickstarter right now. And so if you go to Kickstarter and you just type in Box of Tapes, that's probably the easiest way to find out more about it. Watch videos and stuff like that.
Because you're hoping to take this out of the comic book shop and onto the stage too, right? Like with your Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, and the Kickstarter is really to press the records and print the books. To turn it into a physical thing. Right now, it's all done, but it's all digital, and so we want to have this so people can hold it in their hands and put it on the turntable, or download it to their phones or whatever you want to do. So. That's the idea.
All right. Ezra Gale, his rock opera and graphic novel is called Box of Tapes, a rock opera. It's a 16-song album with that graphic novel, and they'll be performing at World's End in Kingston today at 6. Ezra, let's go out with another one of the cuts here. I think this one is Mystery is Delicious. Can you tell us anything about that? Anything about that one?
Yeah, this is one of the ones. So the way the whole thing works is that part of it is in the past. It's the tapes that the teenager is playing as he's listening. So these are the songs from years ago by his mom and dad, and then part of it is in the present. And in the book, there are 2 different artists. Patrick Lugo does the songs that happened in the past that are on the cassette tapes, and then Luis Santamarina does the ones that are in the present. This is one of the ones in the past. So this is the mom singing this song to the teenager when he was a little kid, and she's basically telling him to basically look up off from his screen and experience the world around him and embrace the mystery of the world and life, and because mystery is delicious, that's what this song is about.
All right, she was prescient there. Ezra Gale, and this is a cut from Box of Tapes, the rock opera. Thank you so much, Ezra.
Thank you for having me.
You know too much. You know everything about your friends and where they've been. You know too much. You know all there is about your friends and who's with who. When I was you, I'd linger all day, lighting fuses in my mind. I don't regret a thing. Mystery was delicious, and I licked it up. Now they say, come find where